I'm a big fan of large format cinema. One of my best memories was seeing Inception projected in IMAX back in 2010. At the time I was in film school and this was the movie that everyone was talking about. I also love the old movies of the 1950s that were shot in VistaVision. I wasn't around to see these when they were originally released, but the Blu-ray and 4K discs often look far superior to the other movies of the same era. But with IMAX solidifying itself as the premier cinema experience, and VistaVision making its return to productions, I want to see how the two compared. So let's take a look. For the purposes of this video, I'll only be discussing IMAX film and not digital IMAX. For a comparison between them, you can check out my other video here. So the first movie ever shot in this format was a short documentary called Tiger Child. It was shown at the World Exposition in 1970. And from 1970 until 2000, IMAX was mainly used for filming and screening documentaries. However, that changed when Disney released Fantasia 2000. It became the first major Hollywood production to be released this way. After that, a few other Hollywood productions were also distributed in IMAX. However, these films were shot on other formats and then blown up for projection. The first Hollywood movie to both film and project this way was The Dark Knight in 2008. It used the camera to film select scenes, and since then there have been a handful of productions to follow this example, but never an entire movie. The main challenge to doing this is that the cameras are too loud, making it difficult to record dialogue. However, this is about to change with Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, because of the development of new, quieter cameras. So what is IMAX exactly? Well, most movies shot on film load into the camera vertically. This includes movies shot on standard 70mm film. Typically movies are shot on 65mm and then projected on 70mm, but for the purposes of this video I'll only be using the term 70mm. What makes IMAX different is that it's shot on 70mm loaded horizontally. This creates a much larger area for the image to be captured. So that's the story of IMAX. The first film ever shot with VistaVision was... hold on a second. White Christmas in 1954, a classic that my family loves to watch every year. This format came about during the widescreen revolution in the 1950s, which itself was brought about to compete with television. The thought was that widescreen movies would get people back into the cinemas. The most successful of these was CinemaScope, which was created and owned by 20th Century Fox. All of the major studios licensed the format to use in their own productions. All that is, except one, Paramount, who created VistaVision. It's similar to IMAX in that it's loaded into the camera horizontally, except instead of 70mm, it uses 35mm. This allows for a larger image to be captured when compared to standard 35mm, which was loaded vertically. VistaVision was used on many productions during the 1950s, but after the film One-Eyed Jacks was released in 1960, it would take over half a century for the next Hollywood production to use it. And that film was the recent Oscar winner for Best Picture, The Brutalist. Since then, several other productions have announced that they'll be using this format. But how do these two cinematic experiences compare? Well, let me show you. As I previously mentioned, both of these formats are filmed horizontally, allowing for larger images to be captured. However, IMAX is filmed on 70mm, while VistaVision is filmed on 35mm. IMAX is also 15 perforations across, while VistaVision is 8. Perforations refers to these sprockets which are used to move the film through a camera or projector. All of this means that this image is almost 4 times the size of this one. However, this one is still very impressive when compared to standard 35mm. IMAX also has a native aspect ratio of 1.43 by 1, while VistaVision is normally matted to any aspect ratio between 1.66 by 1 to 2 by 1, although 1.85 by 1 was preferred back in the 50s. Matting is essentially when black bars are added to the top and bottom of the image to create a specific aspect ratio. So what does this all mean when it comes to the theatrical viewing experience? Well, movies that are shot and then projected on IMAX are still considered the highest quality when it comes to the cinema experience. VistaVision, however, was historically only a production format. This was because in the 1950s there were challenges to projecting horizontal film, so most of these movies ended up being printed on vertical 35mm for projection. This still created a brighter, cleaner image than what was normally seen on screen. This is all changing, however, as Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie, One Battle After Another, is apparently going to have a limited release in horizontal VistaVision. Also, the high quality of this type of film allows it to be blown up to IMAX for projection and still look amazing. To see either of these formats screened natively is rare, as there are only a few theaters that are capable. However, the quality that both of them have may affect all the ways they're distributed. Christopher Nolan claimed that his film Oppenheimer, which was shot on IMAX 70mm and regular 70mm, would look amazing not only in their native formats, but in all the ways they were distributed. This included 35mm and all the different types of digital projection. Just like the widescreen revolution of the 1950s kept people going to the cinema, I believe that large format film can keep people going during this age of streaming. This includes both IMAX and VistaVision, and this is a good thing, because I believe that the theatrical experience matters. Thanks for watching.